Ciao and welcome to Tortellino Time. Parmigiana is one of the most iconic dishes in southern Italy, and there are so many variations. The simplest is just eggplant, mozzarella, tomato sauce. It could be tin tomatoes or passata, and it's cooked and fried, and it's very popular, of course. But then there are variations including ham or mince, like beef mince. Today I'm doing one which is slightly richer, and I'm going to be using pork mince, but also you could use sausages if you liked. And it's one of those recipes which, as I said, is a little bit richer but absolutely delicious. It's one of my favorites, and I am slicing 3 eggplants, and I recommend that when you slice them, don't cut them too thinly, because otherwise they'll disappear. So I'm actually doing them in 1 centimeter pieces, just like this. Look, I'll show you. Baking paper on an oven tray, and I would recommend that actually, if you run out of space, to use a second tray so that they cook properly. So tray number 2 is here, and I'll just add my eggplant on top, and I'm not going to be adding anything at all, no oil, no salt, just as they are. This will make my pork parmigiana healthier, and they will be going in the oven now for about 20 minutes, temperature of 200 degrees. So my eggplants are in the oven, and I can start working on the sauce. So I've got 3 medium red onions. I'm using red onions as they are slightly less aggressive and also a little bit sweeter than the white ones, but by all means you can use white onions. It's entirely up to you, really, no problem at all. What I'm doing with them, I'll cut them in half again, and I'll chop them across like this so that they're not too small but equally well. I don't want them to be too big either. Just like this. My frying pan is ready, and I'm going to add a fairly generous amount of olive oil. I waited for a good minute until the oil is nice and hot, and I'm now adding all of my onions. And I'm now turning the temperature down to medium-high, and I will mix them first so that they all get covered with some oil. And I will leave them to sizzle for about 6 or 7 minutes until they become lovely and tender. And I'm now working on my cheese. Here I've got a lovely wedge of Parmigiano Reggiano, that is Parmesan, and I'm using the larger teeth of my cheese grater to start grating some cheese. You can also use pecorino if you like, or you can use any cheese you like. You could use, for example, cheddar, mature cheddar, or even mild cheddar, or mozzarella. This is one of those dishes where it doesn't really matter the cheese too much, but if you want to be close to the Italian tradition, really, you should be using Parmesan, because it's called Parmigiana, and that is one of the reasons why, obviously, one would use Parmigiano. And the only reason why I'm using the larger teeth of the cheese grater, by the way, is because presentationally it's going to look nicer. You can use it this side if you want. I think like this is just a little bit nicer to look at. Okay, I think it's enough for the time being. Do not worry about measurements and ingredients. I will list them all in the description. But also in the description you will find a PDF which you can download. It's all free, no adverts, no fuss. And in there you will have the entire recipe. But also, if you look at the very first comment which I will be pinning to the recipe, you will find the same PDF, and you can download it, and you can then print it or save it in your computer, whatever you like to do with it. This is parsley, which I have just picked from our garden, and is fresh. You can also use basil if you wish, entirely up to you. Generally with pork, I think parsley marries better, or another herb you could use, or spice I should say, is fennel. The seeds, or indeed the wild fennel, which is widely used in Sicily. Today I'm using parsley because I think this recipe marries better with parsley, but you could also use oregano and so on. On the other hand, if you are making it with beef mince, I would recommend that you marry it with basil. For some reason I think it tastes better, but then they're personal choices. Let's move on to the pork mince now. So this is half a kilo, but I will not be using it all. I only need half, so I will cut it in the middle, and then I will use the other half tomorrow. Tomorrow I'm making a chicken recipe, and I will be doing some polpette meatballs, and I'm going to be using some of this mince. But as I mentioned, for the purpose of this recipe, I'm going to be using 250 grams, so that will be enough, and the rest is for tomorrow. I will eventually post the recipe up here. You can see a link. I'm not sure when it will be there, but as and when it's ready you will be able to find it. In the meantime, my onions look absolutely wonderful, and I think it's a good time to add my mince. I'll turn the temperature up, and I will make sure that it's nice and brown next. And I'll continue mixing it together until all of my pork mince has become of this color, like this here. As I mentioned before, this is one of my favorites. It is very rich, so a little bit of a treat. But what about you? Do you have a favorite Parmigiana, or is there a Parmigiana you would like me to make? Something that you might have tried somewhere, you might have been in a restaurant and you were amazed and you would like me to cook it? I'm very happy to take on the challenge. Just let me know. Drop me a line in the comments and I'll be delighted to help. In the meantime, my mince is all browned up and I'm going to be adding just 1/3 of dry white wine. And I'll turn the temperature up, and before I do anything else, I'll wait until all of the alcohol from the wine evaporates. And you will know that, because if I do that now, there is a very strong smell of alcohol. Give it about a minute and that will disappear. But for the alcohol to evaporate, the wine needs to boil. So do ensure that you got the temperature nice and high, and it will take no time at all. Okay, no more smell from the alcohol, but plenty of smoke. And the next ingredient is going to be a generous amount of tomato puree, about 1 tablespoon equivalent. And I'll be using this instead of any tomato passata or indeed tins of tomato. But if you like, by all means, you can add tomato passata or tins of tomato. But do not put a lot in, because the key feature of this recipe, if you can see me, is actually that it's not as liquidy as a normal Parmigiana. And mix it all in, and you will see that the mince and the onions color will transform into this beautiful reddish, just like this. And I'm now ready to add some salt. And by the way, if you're using sausages, for example, I would not add any salt, because sausages already have got salt, so be careful. And also I'll add a little bit of pepper now, and it is to taste, as always say with pepper. And with the salt, you can always add it later once you taste it. It's easy to add it, but impossible to take it away. So give it a couple of minutes, no more than that, after you add the tomato puree, and turn it off, and then this is more or less ready. All I need to do now is wait for the eggplants. But before I do that, I'll add a little bit of my parsley. I'll leave some for later to garnish, but the majority goes in now. And I'll remove it from the heat and I'll mix it in. Important to add the parsley at the end. Do not add it while you're cooking the onions, otherwise all of the lovely flavor will be diluted. Whereas like this, being that it's also fresh, it will release all of its flavors to the sauce. And this is ready now. All we need is the eggplants, and then we can continue. I'm waiting for Julie. She should be here because 20 minutes have passed. Oh, I can see her. I think I can see a shadow in the garden. So we can then carry on. And there she comes, my sous chef has arrived with the baked eggplants. Over here, please. Yes. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, lovely. Yeah, indeed. Lovely. Thank you. See you in a little while. And this is what they should look like. I'll show you. A little bit of a caramel color on this side. Do not worry that they're white on this side. The most important thing is that they're cooked. You can see they bend nicely. And because I did them 1 centimeter thick, they have shrunk. They're about just over 0.5 centimeter. But at the very least you will find eggplants when you're eating your Parmigiana. If you were to cut them too thin, you will end up with paper, and nobody wants that. So let's put them together. And I'll be using this oven dish today, but you can use any oven dish. It doesn't have to be round, it can be square, rectangular, it doesn't really matter. And I'll start by adding a little olive oil at the bottom. And using one of my funky color brushes here that matches the spoon, I'm going to be spreading it across the entire base, followed by a little layer of breadcrumbs. I'll give them a shake so that the entire surface of the base is covered. This Parmigiana will have a couple of layers of my eggplants, so I'm going to be overlapping them slightly like this, you see, and I'll carry on, and I should have enough in each tray to do it one layer. Then move to the middle and continue and do the same, and that is absolutely perfect, like this. Go back with your hand and give it a good push so that everything is compacted. I got carried away and I start putting my sauce on, but actually before I do that I should add a little olive oil and all over each piece of my eggplant, followed by a tiny little amount of salt, as I didn't put any salt on my eggplants before, and a little pepper also. So here's my mince. I'll put a line in the middle and create 2 halves, and I'm putting my first half on top of my first layer, like so. And I'm now spreading it across so that I cover the entire surface of my eggplants. Remember that Parmigiano? Time to get it out and sprinkle some on top. That is lovely. And again, using my hand, I'm going to make sure that the entire surface is covered. And off I go with layer number 2. I will be repeating exactly what I did with the bottom layer. I slightly overlap them, and as I get in the inside, I'll do the same, and I will have absolutely enough. I think it's going to be perfect actually. This is my last piece here, and that is wonderful. So once again, go with your hand and press it nice and hard so that you've got plenty of space for your sauce. A little bit more olive oil on top again. Again, a tiny little amount of salt. Don't tell Julie, she keeps telling me off that I put too much salt in our food. And follow the same process, a little bit more pepper also. Obviously ensure whatever oven dish you use that is deep enough. You want it to be, this is about 1.5 inch, so it's not going to be difficult for you to find something suitable. And that is perfect. And the last thing left is to add a little bit more of my Parmigiano on top also here, and off I go. I'll put the rest on and I'll spread it with my hand once again. A little tap and it's ready for the oven. I've got a little parsley left on purpose. I will leave it until the end once it comes out of the oven so that we can garnish it on top later. And I'll put it in for 15 minutes, temperature of 180 degrees. Everything is cooked, so it's amalgamating all of the ingredients together. And if you've got a normal oven, mine is a fan oven, just up the temperature by 10 degrees to 190. So I'll see you in about 20 minutes. And my Parmesan is in the oven and I'm now waiting for Julie to bring it in about 10 minutes. In the meantime, I wanted to just say a couple of things. Firstly, thank you very much to all of you who have subscribed to the channel and regularly are leaving comments, beautiful comments. I'm really touched by some of your beautiful comments, and it's wonderful. That is why the channel really exists. If you're enjoying my food and my recipes, that is perfect for me. But also I've noticed that over 75% of people who watch the channel, they haven't subscribed. Subscribe, it doesn't cost you anything, but actually makes a big difference for us, because the more subscriptions, the more YouTube will promote the channel, the more people we will be able to reach, and the more recipes I will be able to share. So unless you don't like it, in which case I don't think you will be watching, don't subscribe of course, but thank you very much, I really appreciate it. And there she is, Julie is here, she's just joined me, and it looks absolutely beautiful. And as I said before we tuck in, I'm going to sprinkle a little bit more of my chopped parsley. 2 reasons really, added flavor but also a little bit of garnish. And before I tuck in, I will put a little bit more olive oil on top. It has been resting for a good 10 minutes, so I think it's going to be easier to remove a slice now. And I'm going to treat it a little bit like a cake. And off we go. There we go, look, put it here. And as I've removed some, let me show you the inside. There, look, you get all of the lovely mince in between, and it looks stupenda. This could be a side dish if you want it to be, although in our case tonight will be a main, and we're gonna have some salad with it, as it is quite rich. But you can also pair it with some fries if you wanted, or some roasties, entirely up to you. But in our case a salad will be good. And I'll taste some and then we can go. You know what? The pork mince is absolutely bang on, absolutely beautiful. And the Parmigiano and a little puree of tomato puree I put in, perfect. Do not make it too liquidy. That is a feature of this style of Parmigiana. Okay, remember what I say about subscribing if you haven't, and let me know how you get on if you make it. And if you don't make it, make something else. Arrivederci, ciao and buon appetito. Thank you for watching.